Hello there, Kurzuk from Kurzuk Studio here. In this episode of our retro devlog, I'll talk about the player controller. As mentioned in an earlier video, the implementation of this functionality is quite straightforward in Norma. Currently, the player can move right, left and navigate around buildings, which essentially works as a transfer to a new location based on the game's 2D representation. However, I thought it would be interesting to go through the process, explain how it evolved, and share ideas for potential future changes. First off, it's important to mention that I developed this small piece of functionality before starting work on the Norma project. In fact, there was another project before Norma that I was collaborating on with a friend, who's also an artist. She had a great idea for the game and could create assets for it, so a win-win situation really. Unfortunately, due to her personal commitments, she had to step away from the project. Nevertheless, I decided not to leave the work I'd done behind, and some features were transferred to some extent into Norma. This applied to the player controller as well, though over time it was scaled down. What do I mean by that? Well, for example, the initial version allowed the player to run, jump, and duck. I also considered introducing the ability to climb ledges, but all of these were omitted in Norma. You might ask why, since these features could make the game more action-packed. Well, it's true they could, but Norma isn't about running and jumping. Removing these functionalities from main game helped contribute to the game's atmosphere and focus. Now, why did I say main game? That's because I decided to actually keep these features for special levels, where the player has to run for their life. In these levels, the player is always running in one direction and must avoid obstacles by sliding under or jumping over them. These can be treated as mini-games designed to diversify the gameplay. Let's talk a bit about future plans. Recently, I've been thinking about removing the constraint of moving only in two directions on the x-axis and introducing movement along the y-axis as well. But here's the catch, what for? I might be wrong, but in my opinion, any added functionality should serve a purpose. So far, I can't see a clear purpose for this other than allowing the player to walk along footpaths. To visualize it, I'm referring to areas where the player currently can only move left and right, so pretty much all of them. What I'm considering is enabling movement across the full depth of the footpath. To be honest, there is one reason to introduce this functionality. In some areas, the player would need to interact with triggers, like a device or a lever, as shown on the screen. It makes more sense for the player to physically approach these triggers to interact with them. I also think this could bring a bit more depth to the game. That's it for this episode. I'd really appreciate it if you could share your thoughts on the current implementation and comment on the idea of introducing y-axis movement. I hope you're enjoying the format of this devlog series. Please share your feedback, and if you like this episode, don't forget to subscribe, like and share it. See you in the next one.